Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, a channel that talks about career development and business development. In today's video, I want us to discuss some of the most common interview questions which you are guaranteed to find. And I'm going to also tell you how to best answer these. So you want to watch the whole video because you need to ace that interview. But before we get into that, let me kindly request that guys please subscribe to the channel, do share the video so that this information can reach other people out there. So without wasting more time, let's get down into the video. The first question that you are guaranteed to find in an interview, it is tell us about yourself. It might not come exactly as tell us about yourself. They might say something like, oh, we've seen your CV, but can you take us through it? Or they can say, can you please tell us your background? And one mistake or something that you need to avoid at all times, it is to tell them about your personal life, because this is not what they want. All they want to know is about your academic and your professional life. These are the two things that they're really seeking when they ask you this question. So whenever you get this question, think about your academics, your education background, and start there if you would like to start there. And think about your job, both your current job and your past jobs that you've had, which are related to the position. All right, because it's not every time whereby job experience are related to the position. Remember, this person are just not there to know you. They want to know if you really have what they are looking for, which is the relevant experience, relevant skills, and relevant qualifications. So to answer this question, you can always start with your academics and say something like, I hold a Bachelor of Sciences degree in so and so and so. And if you've got honors, your masters, and you can list those. And if maybe you also have short courses that is more related to the position, you can also have say that I also did a short course on this and this and that, whichever is related to the position. Then when you're done with your academics, then you can talk about your present life, which is now your current experience. You can say something like, I'm currently working as, you say the title, at this company, then you mention the company, and then now you talk about the responsibilities. My day-to-day responsibilities include, and then you mention those responsibilities that you do on day-to-day basis. You don't really have to say everything, but just the major responsibilities which are related to the position which you are applying for, because sometimes some of us on our contracts, the responsibilities like about 20 things, and I can't mention everything. But I know that there are main responsibilities or duties for the position that I'm working at. You can also say something like, when you have to include your past experience. Before I started this position at this company, so many years ago, I used to work as, and then you mention the position, and I also have this experience, and then you list those, the experience which are most relevant to the position. And you can close the question and the answer by talking about the skills that you have, which they also have listed on the advert. And you can say something like, I pride myself a lot in my skill of time management, which has come so handy in my, my professional life, because in the industry that we are in, time management is very, very important, because we are regulated, we have regulated time frames, or I have to attend, meetings, do site inspections, and still be able to do my report things in the office, so like that you've summarized a whole lot of information. But please make sure that your answer don't go over 1 minute and 30 seconds. Try to summarize everything, and don't talk too fast. They need to hear what you are saying. So that's why you need to prepare in advance, so that you're able to give them the answers that they need. Give them everything, summarize the whole interview. The thing that you need to also note about tell us about yourself question is that most of the time, the tone, it sets the tone of the entire interview. So if what you say gets them want to sit up and listen to you more, moving on forth, they will be always trying to hear more of what you have to say. Another question that you are guaranteed to find in an interview, it's more of how you deal with, more of like anger management, or how you deal with conflicts. But please be careful. I always find a lot of people saying that, I will go to HR, I will go to the superior. But what they want to know is, before you resort into those measures, what will you do? How will you handle the situation yourself as an individual? Because sometimes, honestly, some conflicts with our workmates, our colleagues, are not really necessary for us to even take to HR. As a mature person, you can sort those things out. So they are trying to see your level of maturity. So when you ask this question, like something like, so if you and your fellow colleague are to clash, how will you deal with that? How will you deal with conflict with a fellow colleague? What will you do there? When answering this question, always show how matured you are. You can talk about something like, what, we are all professional here. I believe as part of the team, we will all be matured and professional at all times. But should we have conflicts with a fellow colleague, I will always, in my personal capacity, try to engage with that colleague to see what the conflict was about, and we try to find a way forward. And if that fails, that's when we'll engage with our superior and just try to have a third person, being an intermediate between us, so that we can resolve whatever issue it is. But then, if we have exhausted all that we can do, or I can do, on personal capacity, then I will engage the HR department to be able to help us sort the situation. Another question that you're going to get, it is a technical question. They will always ask a technical question to see, to test your experience, to know if you know what you are doing, if you know the field that you are in. Most of the time, what I found is that they will give you a scenario and ask you, how will you best resolve that. If there are processes that needs to be followed, they can even say something like, can you explain a process, this and this process, depending on the field of work that you are. For us in the field of environment, they can always say, do you know the EIA process? Can you please take us through that? Or they can give you a scenario that, okay, if a client come to you and then this is what they want, how will you go about that? What processes will you follow? So it will always be important for you to know the processes and the legislations in your field. Make sure that you familiarize yourself with that. Always prepare in advance. Another question that you're going to get, that I've found in most cases, because most of the jobs, sometimes we apply jobs that are far from our home, those kind of things. So they are going to ask you about more of your personal life, like, okay, if you are married and you have kids, and then if now you are going to relocate, what's going to happen with them, those kind of things. And it's always nice to tell them that that's not a problem. If you have kids, you'll relocate with them, even if sometimes you're not going to relocate with them, they'll be home with their grannies and those kind of things. Or if you are relocating with the kids, make sure that you tell them that you have a full-time helper or a full-time nanny, so having your kids will also have support, there, and be able to still do your duties as expected at work. If you are married, tell them how your husband or your wife is so supportive and those kind of things. And yeah, make sure that you are convincing, because you don't want them to think that when every Friday you're going to be wanting to leave early because you have to travel to Limpopo and come back late, in the middle of the day on Mondays. So make sure that you make them understand that it's not going to be a problem, that you're married is not a problem. Your husband, your spouse, basically, is in support of you relocating for this position. And your kids is not a problem. You have, as a family, you have all that under cover.